Alrighty. We have been talking a lot about the weather patterns that happen inside of different climate regions. And those weather patterns, how they affect life in that region. How do they affect the plants? How do they affect the animals? Today, we're going to continue that conversation, but we're going to look specifically at someone whose job it is to study this weather pattern. Okay. You are going to be asking and answering questions today to show that you understand a text. The focus of our texts are going to be how is weather connected to climate, and how do meteorologists predict weather for specific climate regions? Okay, how is weather connected to climate, and how do meteorologists predict weather for specific climate regions? What is a meteorologist? I am so glad that you asked, boys and girls. This is a meteorologist.
Well, hi. How are you? I'm meteorologist JD Rudd. Welcome into the Weather Center. This is where I work in Kansas City at 41 Action News. I got a couple different things to talk to you about today, mainly about what I do and, of course, about the weather. So are you ready to learn a couple of things? You weren't loud enough. Are you ready to learn a couple of things?
Yes!
Okay, that's more like it. So there's my big giant head. Hi, see, there's two of me now. Let's talk about the weather for a second. The weather can be several different things, kind of like this doggy, right? The weather can be wet. What a cute little pup. What else can the weather be? It can be snowy, and hopefully you're happy when there's snow out there. Have you ever seen 2 feet of snow before? Do you want me to show you 2 feet of snow? Look, there's 2 feet of snow. See, you don't see that around here very much, do you? No, not at all. What else can the weather be? It can be sunny and nice. That's a pretty bright and happy sun. He's bright because he's got sunglasses on and regular glasses. He's smart. He's a smart son. You know what else the weather can be? It can be mean. Yeah, like during tornado season, right? Any of you see any big, scary storms? Yeah, they're kind of scary and mean. We don't like scary storms, so hopefully we can keep those away for a while. So let me ask you a question. Do you know what weather is? Weather's what's happening right now. You can look out the window, go outside. You know what's happening? That's the weather. If it's sunny, if it's warm, if it's cold, if it's raining, if it's storming, that's all the weather. And the really neat thing about the weather, we can't control it. It controls us. If you wore shorts today, if you wore a coat today, that's because the weather made you do it. You didn't choose it. You had to because of the weather. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple of things that I do. My job, what is it that I do as a meteorologist on TV? Well, magic. There's a little bit of magic in what I do. It takes a lot of work. I spend a few hours each day working and looking over all kinds of papers and forecast stuff. Do you want to see some of what I do? Okay, here's an example of what I do. Do you like cake? I love cake. Think of cake. Look at all the layers in that cake, right? That's kind of how the atmosphere works, the earth, the air around us, and that's what I study, is all the layers that we have in the atmosphere, and that's how we predict the weather. How do we do that exactly? Well, let me show you. You like balloons? We take these big, giant balloons and we send them way up in the sky. And when we do that, we measure the temperature and the air pressure and other things in the atmosphere. That way we can know what the weather's going to do. And we have all kinds of balloons all over the country to help measure the weather high up above us, way up in the sky. Well, what do we do with all that information? Well, it comes back into a computer, and then I do things like this. I look at these charts with all these colors and these lines on there. It's really geeky. It's kind of nerdy. Look, charts like this that tell me where it might rain, charts where it shows me there's a warm front, even big, scary charts like this. Lots of drawing. I do lots of drawing and coloring in my job sometimes. I try to stay within the lines, but not always. What else do? I look at a lot of numbers, a lot of math and science. Any of you like math or science? If you do, maybe you could be a meteorologist someday. There's a lot of numbers that I have to work with. Also, we use things like radar and satellite. You've seen me talk about this on TV before, right? When the clouds are in, that's on the satellite. The radar shows the rain, shows us when it might storm and things like that, too. That's one of the ways that we do this is with radar and satellite, one of the many tools that we have. So what happens after I look at all these things, all those layers in my cake? What do? Well, I put it all together, and then I sweat, and I work at the computer, and I type in everything that I can to get ready for the news. Have any of you seen me on the news before? Does your mom or dad watch the news? Can I tell you something? There's magic in this room. Do you want to see some of the magic? This is the boring stuff. Let's go take a look at some of the magic. Let me show you some magic that I have. Look at this over here. This is my magic wall. This big green wall is where I stand. You don't usually see this on TV. We can't show it to you, but let me show you some magic of what happens when I step in front of this wall. Does this kind of look familiar now? Hang on, let me go back. Let me go back real quick. See, there's no map behind me. It's a magic green wall, but do you know what I can do in front of this wall? I can write things on this wall, like I can say, "Hi, kids." I could put some funny pictures up on the wall, like this guy that's huffing and puffing. He's just really windy, kind of like me. Ask your mom or your dad. So that's my magic green wall. Do you want to see the magic green wall one more time? Let's go look at the magic green wall one more time. There it is. See, there's my magic green wall. Most of where I work is inside this magic green wall. So yeah, you'll see me over here sometimes, but a lot of my time is at the magic green wall. It's so much fun. And that's one of the ways that we use to tell you about the weather. We look at all the information and we write it all down and we put it in our computer and then we forecast it on TV for just a couple of minutes. Hopefully, maybe you learned a little something and maybe one of these days you can come check out my magic green wall. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'm very happy to be in your classroom and I hope you have a really, really nice afternoon. Take care.
All righty. So meteorologists, that's what we are going to study today, okay? I'm going to shoot you in a breakout room real quick, and I want you to talk about what is a meteorologist, okay? What is a meteorologist? You just heard, kind of summarize it, share your thoughts, share your ideas, and then we will come back to discuss together. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. All right. Question was, what is a meteorologist? What do they do? Please explain to us in Q. See that rhyme? Haha. What's a meteorologist? What do they do?
A meteorologist is somebody that studies the weather and
That's good.
he studies the weather and it goes on a screen that shows us, tells us that what the weather is, so either it's hot or cold.
Awesome. So they're going to study the weather and then they're going to report that information so people can hear. Aiden G, what is a meteorologist? What do they do?
A meteorologist is like a news person, because when they go to the magic green wall, they can show you what's going to happen and what kind of weather is and what you need to wear.
Yes. So they are going to work usually for news stations, and they are going to report to us information that we need so we can make good choices about our day, right? What do we need to wear? Do we need to bring a coat for later because it's going to be cold? Do we need to bring a sweatshirt that we can take off because it's going to warm up? So it kind of gives us some information about our day. Josh, check the chat, please. Terrence, what's a meteorologist? What do they do?
A meteorologist is a person that does that tell and they tell you what the weather's gonna be like.
Yes, they do. All right, so they're giving us that information. And also the meteorologist is the person who studies it, okay? So they're the person who looks and figures out, based on the cloud formations and the wind patterns and the seasons, is there going to be snow tomorrow? They're going to help predict that information, okay? Leah, something to add?
So when they go to the green screen, they explain what the weather's going to be like. Is it going to be snowy or it's going to be sunny?
Yeah. So they're looking at what it's going to be like, what's going on right now, and what's going to happen soon. William, close us out. What's a meteorologist?
A meteorologist is somebody that studies the weather. They're a weather person and they tell you the weather forecast.
Awesome. So they are a person who studies that forecast and they can give us information about it. A meteorologist is not an actor on TV. Okay, they are the scientist who is studying that information. Okay, so they're reading radar. They're looking at patterns and trends that are sensing things that are coming to our area. So they're not an actor that just says information. They are someone who studies and does the science of weather, okay? So here's what we are getting ready to do. We are getting ready to take a look at a text, and we're going to read this together and discuss. There are going to be some discussion questions that you will answer, okay? You will need to be able to see the questions, but they're not in your response, okay? So I'm going to share my screen and show you where I need you to be. When you click on activities, up here in the corner, it says 1/4, 1 out of 4. You're seeing 1 out of 4 slides. I want you to click on that picture. Don't click on your add response yet, because the questions that we're going to do together aren't in your response, okay? So up here, click on that 1/4 and then scroll over to slide 4. Here's the text that we're going to read and the questions that we're going to discuss, okay? I'll give you a second to pop that open. Get yourself prepared. Okay. Steve Rogers, a question?
What's the name of it? You think the meteorologist would study meteors?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that word and why it's put together, but you're right. Meteorologist does sound like a meteor study, but that does actually mean something else. We'll look at that today. Okay. All right, so if you're on slide 4/4, 4 out of 4, again, it's not in your response, you're going to see there's a text here. Now, this text has some questions that we're going to discuss together, and then you're going to answer different questions independently, okay? So it's the same text. All right, so here we go. The first question that we're going to answer is, do you think the meteorologist considers the climate region he or she lives in before predicting the weather? Okay, so when we read, I want you to look for evidence. Do you think that the meteorologist thinks, I live in the tropical region. I probably shouldn't expect snow. Or do you think they think, I live in the temperate region. Weather changes very quickly. Maybe it'll be cold in the morning and warm in the afternoon. So that's my question to you. Do you think they think of those things? Have you ever checked to see what the weather would be like for the week? You can thank meteorologists for the weather forecasts. Meteorologists are scientists who study weather. They also predict the weather and use weather maps to describe what the weather would be like throughout the week. So do you think meteorologists consider the climate region he or she lives in before predicting weather? Josh, what do you think? Do you think that meteorologists consider the climate region he or she lives in before they predict that weather? What do you think? We can hear you, Josh. Go ahead. Josh, I can hear your keyboard typing, baby. Your sound's working. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that they do.
Okay. Why do you think it's important for a meteorologist to know where they live before they predict weather?
Because, well, if they don't know where they live, then they don't know, like, where, like if the weather's gonna strike where they live.
Yeah. So that location is going to be important, okay? And it also helps because we can recognize patterns. We live in Indiana. We know that in February, we're going to need a coat, okay? We can predict that in July, we're not going to need to wear a coat. Okay, so we know the patterns that tend to happen. Let's keep going with that second paragraph. How do meteorologists predict the weather? First, meteorologists collect a lot of information. They look at the weather patterns of different areas. They even get information from satellites in space. Then they use many different prediction tools. They can predict the chance of rain, snow, sunshine, and wind in a particular area. They can even predict if there would very likely be a hurricane or large storm in the area. So they look at the satellites, they look at radar, they look at different tools, and they figure out what's the weather going to be like in that area. Here's a question you're going to answer in breakout rooms. Would a meteorologist in a tropical climate be likely to predict snow? Why or why not? So take a minute to remember what tropical is. Would a meteorologist in a tropical climate be likely to predict snow? Here come your breakout room invites for discussion. All right, question was, would a meteorologist in a tropical climate be likely to predict snow? Why or why not? And I'm going to call on Justin because he froze. Justin said no, there's not going to be snow in a tropical climate. Tell us why, Justin.
I forgot.
So tropical climates have palm trees and lizards and rainforests. Why isn't there going to be snow there?
Because it's just sunny.
Yeah, it's super sunny. It's very close to the equator, and we know when it's sunny, it's also hot, okay? So if a meteorologist was on a tropical climate station and they said, it's gonna snow tomorrow, two things are happening. One, they're crazy. Two, something crazy is happening with the weather, okay? One of two is going on. All right, let's continue on. My question to you is, thinking about what you know, oh, I need to share my screen, goober me. Thinking about what you know about climate regions, why do you think there are different color groups in different sections of the map? So take a look at this map. I want you to be thinking about why is it different colors? Let's listen. Weather maps show the weather in a large area at a particular time. Weather forecast maps show how much rain, snow, or wind would likely hit a town or city at a future time. These maps also let people know what the temperatures would be for that time in their area. Weather forecast maps can be used to warn people about very bad weather like hurricanes or heat waves. Okay, so think about this map. Why are there different colors on this map? What do you know about climate regions that would cause different colors? Okay, here come your invites. All right, why are there different color groups on weather maps? Why isn't the map all one color? Why do we have a whole bunch of different colors all over the map? Aiden G, why?
Because it can tell you which is the temperature.
And why would there be different temperatures?
To tell you what to wear, and if it's hot, you can wear shorts, or if it's cold, you can wear a coat.
So that color is going to tell us what life is going to be like that day. Aiden, here's my question. Why is Florida yellow, but up here by the Great Lakes is green? Why do we have have different colors, what does that mean?
It means that Florida is hot.
Yeah. So
and the green that it's normal.
normal, so kind of like moderate or mild. Yeah, so our different areas are going to have different weather that's happening. So we can see patterns when we look at a map like this. We know that Florida tends to be pretty warm. So down here, we're going to see warmer weather. As we move up north, away from that equator, farther away from that sun, it's going to start getting colder. William, what are your thoughts? Why do we have different colors on different sections of a map?
Because it's different parts of the United States in different sections. Like if you look at the picture, there's like a bar of red, yellow, orange, green, blue, and those colors. Like red is the hottest, and when you get lower, it gets colder. So when you get to purple, then it's freezing.
Yeah, so up here, this bar shows us kind of like a key, like what to understand. So the farther we go to the right, the hotter it's going to be, the more red. As we get colder and move over to the left here at the top bar, it's going to show a different color. So we would expect to see these purples inside of Arctic regions. We would expect to see these reds inside of desert regions. And sure enough, this little red right here, right above Mexico, is a desert region. So that's why we see different colors there. Okay, pretty cool. Leah, something to add?
So the colors show like what the weather is gonna be, because I looked on my mom's phone to see what the weather was, and when it was a rainy day, and I saw stuff moving on her map, and I thought that was rain, so I was like, oh, it's gonna rain today.
Yeah, so here, that's a great point, Leah. I will go ahead and pull this up to show you guys an example. So like right here, oh, look at that. There's a winter storm moving east. So let it load really quick. So yeah, on cell phones, a lot of times we'll see these kinds of maps. Oh, there's an ad from State Farm. Hush up, Jake. So you can see this on your data as well. And a lot of times you'll see like green coming in and moving quickly. That typically means there's going to be a lot of rain. Okay. So here's an example. You're right. Cell phones is another place that we see this very often. All right. So yeah. So this purple, remember how purple represents cold? That's because this band right here is getting a lot of snow coming up. Okay. Over here, as we're closer to Florida, it's not snow, it's rain because it's warmer down there. And then look, as soon as we get north, it goes blue because that's going to be snow. So the storm is huge. It's covering all this area, but down here it's rain. And as it moves up north, we get some snow because it's colder in that part of the country. It's a different climate region. Great connection. Thank you, Leah. All right, last section here. Sometimes meteorologists get the weather forecast wrong. Wah, wah. Weather can change quickly, and it is sometimes hard to predict. But meteorologists help educate people about the weather. They make sure people are as prepared as possible. Here's my question to you. In what types of climates do you think the weather is more likely to change quickly? Okay, we have desert climates, tropical climates, tundra or Arctic climates, and temperate climates. Where is weather going to change most quickly? Okay, go discuss that in your breakout rooms. I will call on you randomly when you get back. Question was, in what types of climate regions do you think the weather is going to change quickly and why? Where's weather going to change quickly, Christopher?
I say temperate.
In temperate. Why is it going to change quickly there?
Because I think there's a lot of maybe time that could change really fast.
Yeah, You guys live in a temperate climate. We live kind of in a mild area. And how many of you guys, like maybe in the springtime, have needed a coat and gloves in the morning waiting for the bus? And then at recess, you're like, it's so hot. And you're taking your coat off. Have you ever had that? Yeah, right? Because that weather changes quickly. Okay. It goes up and down quickly because that sun changes so much. Okay. What else? Where else might you have changes in weather? William?
Tropical.
Why is tropical going to change quickly?
Because it can be both. Because it's mainly hot, but it's also wet. It's also really rainy. And rain can turn into ice until it can turn colder.
Yeah, so there is a lot of rain and it is very wet. We might not see ice because the temperature is going to keep it hot, but it can go from a nice, beautiful day and then boom, thunderstorm. Okay, especially tropical climates that are by what am I trying to say? Tropical climates that are by oceans, because that's when we can get hurricanes. So storms that start over the ocean and then roll into land, boom, that's a quick change. Okay, very fast change there. All right. What else? Any other thoughts on when climates can change quickly? The weather. All right. I have a question for you. What about the desert? Here's the desert. Is desert weather going to change quickly, or is it pretty much going to be the same? What do you think? Leah?
It would be the same, but maybe sometimes it'll just be just a little bit cool, like just a little bit.
Yeah. In terms of day to day, there's not a lot of change. Deserts are characterized because they're always dry and they're very hot, or they're always dry and they're very cold. Okay. We have polar deserts and we have heat deserts. The only change that we see in deserts is from day to nighttime. Remember, at nighttime, the temperature goes because there's not a lot of humidity to hold the heat in the air. So when that sun goes down, it can get pretty cold inside of a desert, but that's very constant. You're going to have hot days. You're going to have chilly nights. Hot days, chilly nights. You're not all of a sudden going to have a thunderstorm in the middle of a desert very often. Okay. Yes, Motto.
The desert's not gonna be same if it's if the wind over there is gonna blow it.
Yeah, there can be some strong winds inside of deserts. A lot of times you might hear something called a sandstorm, and that's because the ground doesn't hold itself together. So like if it's really windy outside in Indiana, there's soil. It's not going to blow very much. But when it's sand and it's all loose, that wind can cause a sandstorm because all the ground is starting to move. That's also how we get these dunes or these mounds of sand in the desert. The wind blows it to a new place and it piles up, stacks up. Great. William, something to say? You're chopping.
You can have a sandstorm.
You can have a what? Oh no, I think we lost him. William, everybody cry. I can't hear you, William. All right.
Yay.
Guys, I just got teary-eyed. That was weird. Okay, here we go. What about last one I want to discuss? Polar regions. Are those going to change very much? Is there going to be quick changes happening to that weather? Camille, what do you think, sis?
It's not about that. Someone is named Stop.
Okay, that's not related to our conversation, so go ahead and answer the question. What do you think? Polar regions, is this going to change very quickly? Or is it going to stay the same, the weather?
It's gonna stay the same because it's really cold.
Yeah, it stays super cold in polar regions because they're very far from the sun. Okay, so there's not going to be much change in the weather that's happening here. All right, kiddos, great conversation. So we have discussed this article today and made connections to our climate. I'm going to ask you now to get ready to do the add response. So go ahead and X out of that 4/4 slide, and we're going to take a look at the work that you're going to complete today. We've done all of this with your teacher. We've looked at our learning target. We've watched a video from a meteorologist. We've made discussion with our meteorology and climate questions. Here's what it says independently. You're going to click the add response. You're going to read or listen to the article again. You're going to answer 5 questions on slides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by highlighting text evidence and typing a complete sentence answer. On slide 6, you will use vocabulary to explain how you know you met today's learning target. Then you'll click the check to turn in your work when you're done. Okay? So there are 6 slides today. The article on slides 1 through 5 is the same article. Okay, the story doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the question. Okay? On each page, you can click this play button and listen to the article as well. Okay? So you're either going to read it or listen to it, and then you're going to use the highlighter to highlight your evidence. You're going to use the typing tool to type a complete sentence answer to the question on each slide. Okay? Any questions about those directions, about what you're going to do? Okay? Pretty straightforward. We've worked on asking and answering questions before. You guys are experts on highlighting text evidence. I am grading this today. This is a nonfiction reading grade, okay? You are going to get 2 points for each question. So on slide 1, you're going to get a point for typing a complete sentence answer. You're going to get a point for highlighting evidence. Same thing on slide 2. You're going to get a point for typing your complete sentence correct answer. You're going to get a point for highlighting evidence, okay? So if you turn this in and you didn't type a complete sentence, you're getting half of your points, which is an F, and I'm going to send it back to you. I'm not going to accept that. If you turn this in and you didn't highlight any evidence, you're only going to have half of your points, which is an F, and I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to send it back to you. Okay? So you need to highlight your evidence and type your answers in complete sentences. Okay? Slide 6 is your success criteria, which you will use this vocabulary to tell me how you know you were successful. Alrighty? That is your work for the day.